This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go to line number 3. And Mike Tiller, New West Valley, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Pretty good, bro. Thank you. How are you?
Not bad. With this being Men's Mental Health Week and myself dealing with a PTSD diagnosis, I guess I kind of felt motivated to call in and with a bit of positive messaging that, you know, even though you do get a diagnosis of some mental health issue or condition, that it's not the end of the world, and if you're willing to seek help and to take the counseling and the motivational stuff that's out there for you, and if you're willing to take medication, if that's what it takes, then you know it's not the end of the world. It's certainly a tough road on times, and it does get easy, and you know it gets. I think this is the hardest thing I've ever had to talk about on Open Line, to be honest with you, but. It's not the end of the world. There's a lot of things that you can do to improve. I think the stigma has been took away a great bit from what it used to be. I know in the fire service, it's something that was never talked about 15, 20 years ago, but now it's brought up regularly, and you're always looking for signs that your members are struggling, and you're always, you know, preaching the counseling and the CISM that's available to members that need help, and you know, it's not the end of the world, Brian.
No, and that needs to be said, Mike. I know there are people out there who will say, well, he's not in my situation, I'm worse off, or who's worse off. But when you talk about the words, you just said the buzzwords: positivity, motivation, the strength to be able to, as you just said, it's probably the most important call or more difficult call you may have made. It doesn't sound difficult, but again, that is the issue, right? You know, do we know when people are really struggling? Do we know when people are having a hard time doing anything, let alone a phone call, an open phone call with your identity out there, when people are very shy about talking about these things still, and the stigma, which can be absolutely as debilitating as the disease or the effects of PTSD can be themselves, you know. And so the fact that you're doing this, I can guarantee you, Mike, there are at least a dozen people, and probably 3 times that, listening, who are struggling right now and need to hear these conversations. That is not the end of the world. That there is, you know, you have to live in the moment. If you worry about things that are 2-3 weeks out, or even 3 or 4 days out, that could be a waste of your emotions, a waste of your energy, a waste of your health. You know, I mean, we have to talk about it, as hard as it may be, or as positive as it may be.
You're correct. And I mean, I always say to people that, you know, if I was walking around with a broken leg, you'd see my disability, and you would realize that, you know, he's got something going on and he might need a bit of help or whatever. But with PTSD, you'll never, very rarely, unless you're close to me, you will not know if I'm having a bad day. You will not know what's going on in my head, because there's times that I don't know what's going on in my head. Yeah. It has gotten a heck of a lot easier. I spent over 20 years as a paramedic, and when that last call ended my career, I was lost for a long time, because your life as you know it is basically done. And there was a lot of days that you were felt like you were done, and that you were, you know, didn't want to give up, and I took a back seat at the time from the fire department, and you know, stepped back from some of that stuff. But you got to realize, and I did realize, and anybody out there has got to realize, that you don't have to give up everything that you did because one part of your life has ended. I mean, you know, I learned my limitations on what I could do, and as the more counseling and the more therapy that I got, it got me able to do more and take you know, do what I used to do with the fire department for the most part, and being able to feel that you're worthwhile again in something that you love doing made all the difference in the world. So, you know, because you lose one part of yourself, you may have to change something about another part of your life, but that doesn't mean you got to give everything up. No,
and the hardest part about this, Mike, is accepting that it may be beyond your control. Like, the most important aspect of this, and look, the position you had as a first responder, as a fire chief and everything else, like, what you have seen, nobody has seen through your eyes, and nobody has seen through your mind. But it's a self-awareness part of it too, you know. So there is a strength of mind here, and the difficulty is admitting that you don't have maybe the same strength of mind as other people do to be able to overcome it. I mean, your thoughts can absolutely betray you. and make you think that things are way worse than they are. And it's not always the case, which is when you need that support. But so many people are damned by the stigma that they will not reach out. And it is the toughest thing to do. And on top of having to admit that they're not the strong, bravado, masculine, macho man that we're always led to believe that we have to be, and that gets in your psyche as well. So if you don't have a good self-awareness of when the breaking point is, of when you really do need to, just drop the veil, and even if it's the most confidential thing you have to do, at least admit to somebody. And I heard the words today, the 4 words, I need some help. I mean, being able to have the strength to say that and not feel like that you're a lesser of a person or lesser of a man is the challenge.
It is, and I did feel at one point that, I may be weaker in some areas, but I also feel that this gives me a strength in other areas, because I can recognize now when you may need, it might be so simple as a little mid increase. It might might be as simple as an extra therapy session, but you're stronger in how you understand yourself. And if before I understood what was going on, and before I was willing to understand and willing to kind of take control of it, I can see and certainly see how some people end up down a very, very dark path and can end up with major depression or drug abuse or suicide rates among first responders. I can certainly see where if you didn't take control of your own, and you have to be the one to take control and say, I do need that help and I got to look for it, because there's nobody else can force you. And if you're not, you can talk to as many people as you like, and you can take as many medications as you like. But if you don't start believing in what is going on, then I can see how people end up down a very, very dark path. Because I think myself that I was close on sometimes, but if you don't, family is everything. You got to rely and support of the people around you, and you got to be willing to accept that you can't be what you were, and that you're willing to change and to evolve.
And we absolutely have to. And Mike, you mentioned that you get to a point where you. Again, you're referring to what I was just talking about, the self-awareness aspect. But, there comes a point where, and we know it's the ultimate point, right, where people just have, they just don't tell anyone, and that it ends there. And that's the worst-case scenario. You may feel... it may be hard for you to care about yourself in those moments because you beat yourself down. You look at all the negative things that in your life. You can't see the positive. No matter how positive stuff you might have going on, you can't see the positive in that. All your brain does is it fixates on the negativity. If you get to that point, if nothing else, and you have trouble caring about yourself, think about the other people in your life. You know?
And Brian, I think that has helped me through, because unfortunately I've seen the effects of suicide, and the person that is gone, but the family that they've left behind I've seen that suffering from the family, and I would never want to put my family through that, and any family that has dealt with that, I have every empathy and sympathy in the world for them, because there can't be anything worse, Brian. I mean, it's heart-wrenching. There
is nothing worse, Mike, being on control, no control of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, and it becomes a worthless exercise. You can't get to that. And these kind of conversations have to reassure people, and men in particular, during this Men's Mental Health Week, all humans, of course, but, it's fair to say that, we need to focus this conversation on the men in our lives, and support them and ask the questions. Don't just wait for them to speak up. Mike, look, I can't tell you how valuable this conversation is, and I invite others. I really hope others that might not have called can hear that this can happen. You can get on. You can talk openly about it. There's no shame in it. And again, it's about the other people in our life as much as it is about the individual.
It is, and again, there's no shame in a broken leg, and there's no shame about mental illness.
Absolutely, we have to remove the stigma. Mike, look, God, I hate the time that I'm put under sometimes, but that's it. The clock. No problem. Clock is the clock. I really appreciate the call. Let's do this again at your convenience, whenever you like.
Thank you, sir.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's join on line number 2, the mayor of St. Mary's. Steve Ryan, you're on the air.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Morning, Steve. Thanks for your patience. Coming up to a break, and that's all on me, but I may want you to hold on just a little bit, if that's okay, if we don't get through everything we want to discuss in the next couple of minutes, if that's all right.
Not a problem.
So, we're closing in on $2 million to clean up the fish plant, the rotting fish sauce plant, which has been really tormenting your community for years and years and years. That's a lot more than originally that was pegged, is it not?
Yes, it's a little bit more, about 100,000 more than what we originally pegged.
Okay, and we still on track? Can you give me an idea? Just update the people now on the timelines here. And this could, could even smell worse in the coming days or weeks and months, couldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We're on track. We're hoping to start on the last week of June, the 29th, the actual cleanup part. We're waiting on the company now that got awarded the contract. They have to get a hole dug on Sunnyside and get a liner put in, which they're going to be dealing with 2 more companies. And once that happens, they're going to start the process here on our end. And we're pushing ahead a couple of weeks. We probably could have started a little bit quicker, but the school is in such close proximity. We don't want to interrupt them at their exams. So we'd rather that they'd be closed for the summer, because we do foresee the smell is going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh my God, I can't imagine it can get worse than what it was.
Yeah, definitely. People are going to smell it. I think they never smelled it before. The smell is probably going to go a bit further, all according to what way the prevailing winds are. But it's going to be part of it. Most of the residents understand it. And it's going to take, we figure it's going to take upwards of 3 months to get it moved. Start in June, we're hoping to have it done in early September. Upwards to 400 truckloads have to be moved.
So how is the road going to handle that?
Well, it's just, what would you call it? Pumper trucks.
Okay.
And so it's not no big, like say, extra weight or nothing. So it's just, I think they're hoping 2 or 3 loads a day. So the traffic won't be that bad that way. And they have all their permits in place. This company is very legit. And I'm looking forward to doing the work with those guys. They've been on site numerous times over the past 6 or 8 years. So I kind of feel comfortable they have our back, and I'm comfortable too with the government. They reached out to us and told us that the overrun is looked after, and they don't want this project delayed one more day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's good news. Credit where credit is due. It definitely has the air, no pun intended, of short-term pain for long-term gain.
Well, that's what we're looking at right now, and I think the residents are okay with that. We are, as a council, get this out of her and get our beach back, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a little short-term pain. We want to minimise that. That's why we're waiting for the school to close. And like I said, it's going to be all done properly, and we have a consultant looking after both our end and Sunnyside's side. We don't want to put that on nobody else either, and it's going to be properly disposed of on that end.
Yeah, I don't want to just move the problem somewhere else.
No.
And that site itself, what's the future hold for that?
The future holds, we're hoping that the building is going to be removed, but the foundation will be left, which is over 20,000 square feet, and already has a drain system into it because it was a plant. And maybe we might encourage, like I said, last call I had was about our local plant was burnt down.
Yeah, that was the next question.
Might like that location back to put the building back, hopefully, or something else.
Yeah, or something else. Is there anyone else kicking the tires?
Yes, we're after having a few kicks on our tires. It's a good location, like you said. It's right on the beach. It's 20,000 square feet of concrete already poured with a footing. And like I said, we're after the town owns it now. We take ownership to get this cleanup process done. And like I said, hopefully we'll put something back there better than what we have now. Now we have a dead zone, so definitely a lot better.
Yeah. And where exactly is that sauce going to end up?
Sunnyside. There was test holes dug on Sunnyside. It has to go into they call a site that was nothing ever there before, and so they found a spot over there that is going to be put into a liner. The liner is going to be welded. Mm-hmm. It's going to be all dumped into this liner and sealed off, closed over, and either sod or topsoil put on top, and forgotten about.
Well, let's hope. I haven't seen the technical explanation of all of that, but listen, I'm sure that people of Sunnyside will be interested to know and be reassured that it'll be buried and that'll be the end of it. Although we all know there have been stories of things buried before that have managed to rise from the ashes. Let's hope this isn't one of them. Oh my God!
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
I know. The biggest thing with this, like I would tell the people of Sunnyside, is high in salt content. That's the thing that makes it so bad.
Yeah.
And with this, we're going to run into the trouble, I think, with the smell on our end is it's going to be mixed here in St. Mary's with peat moss. So you're almost like you're going to be making a soup because it can't go out of it in liquid. Everything that's going to be put in the site in Sunnyside is going to be a solid. Okay. And that's where we're going to run into trouble when he starts, I think, stirring up stuff that's there 35 years.
Yep, I'll pass on the soup, thanks, waiter, and go right to the appetizer. Steve, listen, I appreciate the time and the update. Keep me posted on anything else we need to know about. You know, open line, we're always open.
Yeah, I'll touch back with you in a month or so when it starts and let you know where we're to. Definitely will. I know there's a lot of people out there know our story and they're very interested in this, so
awesome.
I'd like to keep them informed.
Yep, absolutely. And listen, communication. There's some people out there who could learn from us. Hey.
Definitely. And you guys, I give time to the media because we would never have got where we're to without the media.
Yep, and you're a great spokesperson for it. So thanks again very much. Good luck. Onward and upward.
All right. Have a good day.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
We are into the home stretch, of course, for the Board of Regents selections for alumni, the alumni representatives on the Board of Regents at Memorial University. And I think tomorrow is the final day of voting. And joining us right now on line 3 is the president of the Canadian Federation of Students for Newfoundland and Labrador, chair of the local branch, is Nicholas Keogh. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, tomorrow is the day. 4 p.m. is the last time to get your votes in.
Yeah, so just to review, so you can, the Board of Regents includes 6 alumni representatives, just for people who are a little confused about who's on it, but there are actually, 40 positions, I believe, or 41 positions on the board, and 6 of them held by alumni, and the voting has been ongoing now since, back on May, was it? Mid-May, I think, Nicholas?
Yeah, I think it's about a month.
Any idea of, this is all online voting, is it not?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so no real way of telling what kind of uptake there's been, hey?
No idea. No idea if the turnout has been good or bad or...
Yeah, I guess if you're looking at socials, there's lots of interest there. What are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said when I called in last week, we did do a survey with the Canadian Federation of Students on student issues that we were really passionate about, and we've now kind of closed that survey, I guess, because we're on the second last day. We received officially 14 responses, and 3 of those, unfortunately, were folks who felt like they couldn't answer questions, either due to their position on the board or just not knowing as much about MUN or the internal workings. But we did get 11 actual full responses to our questionnaire, which has 6 questions and is available on our social media. And we definitely got a lot of insight onto some of these candidates and what they really believe in. So I guess I wanted to kind of go through that, but we did have a lot of candidates who were passionate about affordability when asked about tuition fees, lowering tuition fees. Every single candidate agreed that affordability was a priority for them. And that came with a range of commitments, of course. But one of the things that I was really surprised about, but I was really excited about, was that out of the 11 candidates that did answer, we had 9 candidates that agreed that Memorial should be publicly advocating for a restoration of the funding from the provincial government, which is something that we've been calling on for a number of years now. But it's really nice to see that a majority of at least the candidates who did answer are in the same boat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I would, you'd kind of have to check both of those boxes, wouldn't you? I mean, as far as affordability goes, we know that there's a tuition freeze this coming year. We don't know what'll happen beyond that. But, if you're not on those 2 pages, I think you might want to try for election somewhere else.
Exactly. No, I definitely agree. And I think one of the other things that students are really passionate about recently, especially, is divestment, because Memorial has investments of a few $1 million, even though it's a very small part of the portfolio. An investment of a few $1 million into weapons manufacturers and to companies linked with the Israeli genocide. So I think that that's something that we're really looking for as well. But we only actually received 4 candidates who committed that they would be in favor of divesting. And so those 4 were Brian Ahmadi, Zishan Rizvi, Bella Al-Shakshir, and Faisal Abu Ghazaleh. And so I think that definitely those 4 candidates were really impressive to us in general with all their responses, but especially on the divestment thing. It's something that a lot of students care about. A lot of the unions on campus care about as well, those impacted by pensions. And it's something that the university administration has essentially refused to listen to. So I think having people on the board who would really listen to students on this, who would listen to, international law on this, would be really important. And so definitely, I guess I would encourage listeners to look at the responses that were given. There's some pretty long ones, some pretty detailed responses on folks' views for the future of the university, and I'm really excited that we got at least this amount of uptake.
Yeah, the divesting issue is definitely, the most polarizing of the issues probably there, only because of the tornness that some people have, especially the university, when it comes to funding and who they're in bed with. And then the pressure being put on the university from all corners, including lack of less funding from the provincial government. And they're in this place where, do they sell out the morality side of things in exchange for, continuing MUN and being able to have $70 million to address deferred maintenance and other things, It's a tough one for a lot of people who aren't directly impacted and don't, for some for international students, especially those of either Palestinian or Israeli descent, this is a tough one for everybody all around, and it gets into the political realm, and it brings the question of whether MUN or any university should be involved with this whatsoever when it comes to arms and funding and what organizations that they accept in under their umbrella. It's a tough one. Do you find it's only been 4 responses because of the tense nature of it, especially given what's happening globally right now?
Yeah, I think that there might be a few candidates that don't really understand the kind of situation as a whole, because MUN actually, it is a few million that they do have invested, but it is a fraction of a % of their entire endowment, and that's just for pensions. So that doesn't even have to do necessarily with the provincial funding or the amount of funding that goes towards things like infrastructure, but I think that there is a misunderstanding there, and I think that people do see it as, well, MUN's going through a tough time, they might have to accept money from places they wouldn't want to. But in this case, it actually would make almost no difference to MUN's finances and even to the pension. It's a fraction of a percentage, and so it's really
more the principle of it, is it? More the principle of who they're involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it would be actually very easy to divest. Other universities and institutions have made progress on that front, and I think it would be interesting to see MUN comply with international law in this case.
Well, the deadline, as you said, is 4 p.m. tomorrow, and we'll find out. It should be interesting. As I said, I know several of the people who are vying for election, and I've seen them put forth policies on social media and all that sort of thing. Man, how things have changed. Time was you'd hold a news conference and put up your, even if it is, the Board of Regents. You don't have to necessarily hold them just because it's elected office in provincial government or something. These are important positions, especially when we look at the place and the importance of Memorial University in our future and how we want it to go forward. As we all know, there's a concern there that it's in the middle of a severe downgrading. Whether you look at Harlow's closure or the other sort of hints that we've had at looking at a smaller, leaner, more efficient facility or organization. I think that's probably... Is there a specific question regarding that on the survey?
Yeah, there is. So that one was a bit different. We didn't end up reporting it in terms of like an overall assessment, because there's so many different answers on that.
Oh, I see.
But I think in general, nobody wants to contract. All the answers across the board were that nobody wants to contract just for the sake of contracting, and that they just weren't sure as much of MUN's financial reality. And I think that makes sense as well, because I think it's very easy to say MUN should be publicly advocating, but it's harder when we don't know what the financial situation in terms of provincial funding would be. So I think it's good to have the ideology that we don't want to contract. That's great. I think it's something that we're honestly missing in the university president. She said that she got all the funding that she wanted from the provincial government, which would lead to more contractions. So that's the concern. And I think as long as we have regions who do not want to contract the university and who will do everything in their power to make sure that student services, programs, and jobs are saved, that's really, I guess, the most we can ask for at the moment.
Yeah, start with that mindset, and then once you get in there and you do have a better understanding, because, you can't expect people to have experience on the Board of Regents if they've never been. So you have to get that experience somewhere, just like a new MHA or a new councillor or anyone just entering into a new job, I guess, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't know if there's a certain amount of provincial funding there. We don't know what that means, right?
Yeah, the uncertainty for everyone there. Nicholas Keogh, look, I appreciate you bringing it and keeping that on the radar, just reminding me this morning, too, there's so much on the go, that I think this one definitely flew over my radar a little bit, that tomorrow is the last day for voting. So just... a reminder to everybody that, 4 p.m. Newfoundland time, right, standard time, tomorrow is the cutoff. And, you can go right on the Board of Regents site or mun.ca/alumni-regents. But if you go to the, just Google MUN Regents elections, it'll come right up, and there's a Vote There button that you can click on and have your say before the deadline tomorrow at 4 o'clock. All right.
Yes.
Great. Nicholas Keogh, the president of the Canadian Federation of Students, Newfoundland and Labrador branch. Thanks. The chair of the local branch, of course. Thanks again for this tomorrow, and we look forward to a great chat after the results come in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number one. And Jerry Nee, the president of Recreation NL. How timing and how fortuitous. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I was looking at it and I was saying, okay, I want to get through some sports. And then I saw you were there and I went, well, what a great what a great segue. So this is Recreation Month, right? In June is?
It is. Yeah, it is indeed, sir.
Yeah. Well, what would you like to say about that?
So really, I guess, Brian, from our perspective, is just, letting folks know, we are certainly here. There are so much that all of our communities have to offer, be it structured or unstructured. The big thing, I think, is, get out there and explore. I think June is an ideal time for Recreation Month. We're starting to see the weather start to change. It's a bit more improved. Certainly a lot easier for some folks to get out and about and explore. When we talk about recreation, we talk about the benefits that recreation has, not just for ourselves in physical and mental benefits, but as well the benefits that it brings to our community, the economic generators for our communities, for hosting tournaments and conferences and conventions. Like I said, we just want people to kind of get out there and explore what your communities have to offer.
Yeah, out there is the key word, right? I mean, look, we're looking, social media ban legislation being tabled today, Do you want to be on your phone? Do you want to be connected? Or do you want to be out in the fresh air getting exercise, which we know is, there's nothing better for you, really, for the body, for the mind. For
the actual physical connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's good timing to have this conversation. Look, I mean, I'm trying to get back. I got a lovely old mountain bike I've been using at any opportunity I can get to ride somewhere or to walk somewhere. Not getting any younger as I am. And the last couple of days, even for me, it's been kind of hard. And, I live downtown. And I'm up here at VOCM. Yep. And it's not the longest bike ride, but it's hard to get back into it when it's still just 4 or 5 degrees. And, I want to be able to put on a pair of shorts and a T-shirt and just go. But any little thing can sort of, give you an excuse not to do it, but that shouldn't be the mindset at all, should it?
100%. And you know what? Sometimes it's just making that effort to start in. We all know what our winters are like, and for some folks, it's tough to kind of be active and remain active. But a lot of communities out there now, like, they have access to, some indoor facilities that you can certainly avail of. And for anybody who's a winter enthusiast, I mean, this was certainly your winter to take in your snowshoeing or your outdoor pursuits in the way of recreation.
Yeah, is it hard are you finding it? I mean, in your realm, in the Recreation NL, with all the different distractions and, God help us, social media and the time that people are spending just being dormant or complacent, is it tough to sort of harness the minds and the body and souls of people these days? Like, how has the effort been to, get that in the head these days outside of technology and screen time?
Yeah, I think, Brian, that's always been a struggle of ours is finding that balance. And I think it's just from providing those opportunities in your community, like I said, from, even just some of your social groups and your clubs, even like book clubs or knitting clubs, is just getting social. Is not necessarily always about the activity side of things. Sure, I mean, recreation certainly involves a fair bit of activity as well, but some of it is just those social things. So just, putting your phone away and just being engaged in the moment.
Yeah, and you've got lots of great programs at Recreation NL. I know the deadline is long past for us. How was the uptake on the Teen Challenge physical activity funding program you have this year?
So we actually had the most registrants or the most applications that we've ever had. I think we topped 50 registrants. It's unfortunate that we can't fund them all. There's some great projects that are out there. But I will say to folks, like, if you do apply for that funding and you're not successful, like, there are other realms of funding out there, and don't let that kind of discourage you. Sometimes it's just kind of the perspective and how we look at it. I know that, funding certainly goes a long way, but there are sort of other avenues as well that we can explore, more cost-effective ways of kind of getting the information out there and keeping folks active.
Yeah, well, at least it's good to hear that the uptake was great on it. I mean, look, I think in general, we can be great promoters as parents for our kids, right? They get involved in this. You're not going to spend the whole summer just sitting on the couch with the screen. Want to find you something to do, and it's the easiest thing. We can be hypocritical sometimes about that, but at least it sounds like they've been proactive about it, and it's great to see that sort of interest. The baseline interest is right there. I mean, in light of everything we talk about these days and alternatives to just getting physically active, it's crazy how important it is.
Absolutely, yep. And like I said, I mean, sometimes it's just making that initial step, and then just kind of stepping off and just engaging. Yep. And you know what? That goes for us parents as well. I mean, a lot of times you go to the rink with your kids or you go to the ball field and what do? We sit there on our phones. Like, go for a few laps, walk around, have a yarn with the person next to you as opposed to scrolling through your socials. Lead by example.
Absolutely. So just before I let you go, Jerry, anything else specifically? So we're right in the middle of it, almost, the middle of the month. Anything that you want to highlight, any particular specific events, or should people just reach out to their individual communities?
Yeah, there's so much on the go in all the communities that are out there, Brian. I would say for folks, certainly reach out to your recreation departments or your recreation commissions just to see, like, what is out there, from your trail systems to your skate parks to your ball fields, even like your clubs and organizations. Just reach out. I find there's always something for everybody. Yep.
Well, listen, it's a timely conversation, and just even talking about it, whether or not there's something coming up today or the weekend or the next week. Yep. Again, the mindset is what we have to install, and here, it falls into our category and our thrust on, positive news and positive aspects of life, and just moving a little bit away from the technology, just to give yourself and give your brain and your whole community a break. It's
absolutely
it's rough times, and the fresh air and the exercise, there's nothing like it. It is the crux and the core of the health court. NL.
It does wonders, yeah.
Yep. Jerry Nee, President of Recreation NL. Look, I appreciate the time today. Thanks. I hope everybody is taking this to heart, not just brushing it off as a little sidebar conversation. This is really important. Any way you can find to move the bones and the muscles and the body and breathe air into the mind is going to be a good thing. So thanks again for making time.
Thanks, Brian.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Right to line number one. And Moira, you're on the air.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to speak with you.
you as well.
Yeah. Welcome to this new role you have in our province.
Thank you.
It's a heavy one, I think.
It's geez, I still can't come up with a word for it. It's interesting. I'll say that for now, because anything else sounds either negative or positive. And right now, really just trying to find my way and make it mine. And I hope everybody's not too turned off by it. But so we've got some great calls, and people have been very nice and very supportive and very encouraging, such as yourself. So I appreciate it, Maura. Thank you.
That's wonderful. You used a word earlier on discombobulated. That's great. And uncertainty. You mentioned the word uncertainty around just really not knowing where things go for us. And for myself, I'm a come from away.
Mm-hmm.
I came here in 2015 from the mainland. I'm a Canadian senior disability advocate with a lot of experience and a very vast professional background on the mainland. I came here and retired in a rural and remote community called Roddington up in the Great Northern Peninsula. Beautiful, absolutely fantastic. I get to live alongside the long-range mountains and the Great Canadian Boreal Forest and everything else that we have, the majestic animals. I'm in love with it here.
Blessed.
But, yeah, I feel very, very blessed. However, I found myself struggling, as many people who come from away do, to make a go of it here, because it was very different than the mainland, and I found myself homeless. It's absolutely crazy, actually. But I am in the shelter system currently in the community of Roddington, where we do not have a shelter program outside of, we don't have shelters down here. We don't really have food banks. We don't have services for the marginalized. But unfortunately, I was flown into St. John's February 5th of 2025 and put to the streets of St. John's because they don't do shelters for disabled seniors. This is the true story. I survived 3 months on the streets, literally. I was introduced to a very dark side of St. John's, we could say. And all of this came out of the simple fact that in our province, we do not have a shelter benefit that's intrinsic in income support. We have benefits that they'll pay up to $522 for a single person, which I am. But those benefits have to be applied to something that they approve of, a type of shelter, even as far back and outdated as bed sitting room. So that $522 I wasn't eligible for because I had purchased a home in the community that I required to be made accessible for me. I have a very complex condition called Ehlers-Danlos, and I have with that many of its comorbidities. I refer to them as alpha-Gettys, but basically it's dysautonomias. These are a bunch of big words for you, Rick. But basically it just means I can't stand up and I'm overbendy and I need a lot of help. And this has been confirmed in a diagnosis and everything. And I receive a Canadian disability pension. The Canadian disability pension that I receive is obviously reflective of the fact that A, this condition is genetic, and B, you have it for life. And so my earnings were always going to be capped in order for me to stay in the world as a person with disabilities and become a full cycle disability advocate. I was really thankful when we heard that Bill number 1 was the Disability Advocates Act, and that this person with disabilities would be empowered to actually go in and assist and do investigative stuff, the kind of stuff I would have been doing on the mainland. But it was all too late for me. I was terminated from income support, which paid the taxes to the town. This is the shelter benefit that an individual homeowner gets if on income support. Your taxes are paid to the town. If the taxes aren't paid to the town cut your water off. They take away your hygiene. I ended up with my house deemed unfit by an LHC, not able to see myself receive the 17.5 in home support that I had gotten in grants, or the 22.5 in a loan that would have given me a mortgage through NLHC for a shelter benefit for income support. This is a bizarre concept. It's something that most provinces have a shelter benefit for somebody. You don't have to go and get a mortgage through a Crown corporation to get a shelter benefit. Because I wasn't able to do that, I was cut off income support on January the 24th, the 1st of January, because I would be receiving at the end of January the biggest CPPD cost of living allowance ever, 4.4%, and I would be $8 over just a basic need for income, which is $650. So for $8, I was cut off income support. I appealed that. I went through all of the things, lost. First time I ever lost, actually. And I appealed it. And so that's a statutory right to appeal under a statutory office, which is exactly what disability office is now. And it's still in the courts. We've been waiting for a decision. It's very complex litigation because actually I'm asking the justice to determine whether or not we can actually hold our government accountable, and whether or not we actually can be in receipt of a shelter benefit and our basic human rights met in the system. So all of that put me 2 years now without any health care, because health care, which is pharmacare, medical transportation, all of these things that are in their portfolio that, you know, we should be getting help with, it means that all of that's gone. I get no medical supplies. It's bizarre. So that's how I ended up in the shelter system. It's mind-blowing to me as a shelter expert, as a person's basic income for our province, to avoid all of this, where we would have cost sharing, because in essence, that is what the Canadian Disability Pension Program is. It's an opportunity for the provincial government to share equal the cost of a person with a disability. Here, we don't meet that mark, so I'm done. I'm out. Now, last year, after having almost froze to death in St. John's, and, they traffic women there and men, it doesn't matter your gender, they really do. It's a very, very scary situation. It's worse than I have seen in Toronto.
It's very, very scary. It is very, very scary everywhere, Maura. There's no question. It's not just the streets of St. John. So no matter where you come from. And people, I'm already getting emails saying, why are you ending up here and looking for, support from this government when you're from somewhere else? Well, look, I'll remind people that we have enough Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who've tried to leave and go elsewhere and make a living of it, and also rely on other provinces for support when they've moved away. So it works both ways. We just happen to be one of the poorest still provinces in the country, and our resources are limited already for the liviers that we have here, let alone other people coming in. Look, I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to let you go as long as I could, but I'm already over a break. The question I do have is, do you have legal representation at the Supreme Court on that action you filed?
No, I don't. But since we're in a hurry, I have to tell you what the crux of all of this is.
Okay, sure.
I have been advised by the shelter line that I have to leave the shelter that I'm in right now, that I have to leave today because I have been unable to get myself the 2 hours to St. Anthony and back to verify banking information that they don't have on file because they never asked. On November the 2nd when I came into shelter. So they're telling me tonight I go back to the street.
Who's
the shelter line of NLHC.
Okay, so with NLHC. Look, if this is just a matter of confirming what actually exists, I would be highly suspect if you're out of that shelter by today. Now, I don't know what they told you. I don't know everything. There's a lot on that you've given me this morning information-wise. All I can say is if the information you have, it's just a matter of not being able to get to St. Anthony and you actually qualify and you shouldn't be kicked out, whatever the rules are that you are there under, I cannot see you being evicted when it's just a matter of needing to travel to St. Anthony to take care of paperwork. Is that what this
Well,
amounts
I've
to?
already called the bank and I've had them send me the banking information by mail, so I should be getting that in the next, few days. But in the meantime, they have confirmed that I am on the streets, that they will not pay for this community partners shelter room starting tonight.
Well, look, it's short notice for anyone to try to act on that if it's a hard deadline. I would, again, every individual situation is different. They're not going to release personal information to us, so no one's going to call and explain this for us. I can only go by what you're telling me. And again, unless there's a bigger history here that I don't know about, because sometimes people selectively give information when other information's personal, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but I only have one side of what you're telling me. And again, if this just comes down to getting the information from your bank to that office in St. Anthony or the people that need it with NLHC, if that information exists and it's just a time lapse, I cannot see them not having some grace or a period or just a delay in the eviction until they get that information. Maura, I'm 4 minutes over break.
Thanks.
But I really,
All right.
Look, let me know though, if there is some flexibility and, if you're out on the street tomorrow, call me and let me know what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go to our next caller. Let's see. Who do we have on line number one? Let's see. Caller Trevor on line one. You're on the air.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm calling with regards to a conversation you had with a gentleman. I think his name was Mike, regarding PTSD.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm also a member of that group. 2019, I was diagnosed. I'm former military, did 10 years military, and then went on to federal corrections and did another 20. And then had my struggles as well, too. So I moved home in 2023, and I was quite shocked at there's no availability here for help or assistance. It's really hard to find someone here on the island, right?
In just a military realm, Trevor, or just in general? Or because we know there are services out there, but
there are services out there, but they're quite hard to access.
Okay.
Right. So I started doing a bunch of things on my own work on myself, and I figured out a few things. So just in the past little bit, I figured, well, if I did it, surely someone else has too. So I put together a little bit of a pilot project that I have funding for, and we're looking at bringing some veterans and first responders together, hopefully in October, and we're going to ask guys what worked for them. And from that data, we're going to look at creating a talk therapy program. So just recently, I joined the board of directors with the Post-Traumatic Growth Association. So they're a nationwide group. They're all across Canada. And what they do is they try to bring veterans together for different activities, things to do. And right now there's one listed on their webpage, a puffin tour for July 23rd, right? So I'm going to be working with them to hopefully make this weekend happen, where we can create that program for veterans and first responders. And then once we're able to look at the success of this, possibly even open it up to the civilian population as well.
Yeah, certainly it doesn't discriminate, does it?
Well, the thing is, the mechanism of injury might be different. Like, for instance, you could have an airborne soldier jump out of a plane and break his leg, and a skateboarder, a kid in the park, have an accident and break his leg. The mechanism of injury is different, but the result's the same.
Absolutely.
And that's the crossover.
Yeah.
Right? Because, it kind of PTSD, major depression disorder, and all that kind of stuff, it was highlighted in our communities for quite some time now, but we didn't write the book on it. Right? It's been in our communities. It's all over, and we see it. Right?
Yeah.
And it's hopefully this weekend can happen, and we can actually get that out there and just get people talking.
Trevor, to what extent you're comfortable, your own personal journey, was it difficult to come to grips with the fact that there was an issue, that it was like, how difficult was it either to, and you said, it doesn't help that it's not easy to access help. I mean, I know, I'm just looking at the Veterans Affairs website with mental health and wellness. They have a whole page here with all kinds of resources and phone numbers and emails and all that sort of thing, the suicide crisis helplines, and all kinds of links, everything from compensation for illness injury to military sexual trauma and rehabilitation, veteran family programs. None of that was able to assist you?
I got a lot of help. I'm not going to lie. I got a lot of help when I was away in BC, either through some civilian groups and military associated groups. The experience I had, the help I got for them was unreal, right? I did get a lot of help, but this is an evolving thing, right? Like, you're going to be constantly rewriting your own psychology. Right. Yep. So what happens in certain situations and certain jobs, it takes, I'm sure we all met somebody who was like, oh, wow, he was so mild-mannered once upon a time. Now he's kind of angry, right?
Absolutely.
It just doesn't happen. With the work experiences, the environment, the things you go through, there's a gradual rewrite of your psychology.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's almost like you need to update the support that you got, or at least get some kind of training, or the support that you do get needs to take into account that it is evolving, that it may change, and to equip you with a mindset or the resources or whatever it is to be able to, whether it's to recognize it, whether it's to know how to deal with it when you do recognize it, and how to not slip. And try to keep a helpful mind frame for yourself as opposed to letting it fall.
Well, you're always going to have a slip. You're always going to have a fall. You're always going to take a knee. Mm-hmm. It's never going to be like from this day onward. It's going to be all roses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's not how it works. That's not life, right? But the hope is that when you do take a little stumble, when you do take a little fall, when you do feel a little bit bad, it's not going to take as long to get back up again. Because that's the whole point of building your resilience. And when I got home, during all my struggles, there was only two things that remained constant. One was my weightlifting. I never left the gym. Mm-hmm. And the other was my charity. And it's the only two things that I feel normal,
Yeah. And you have to look, and normal being the operative word, right? What is normal these days? People have their misconceptions about normal, really. I personally firmly believe there's no such thing as normal. We are all a little off. If you look at
totally.
Yeah.
But what was my normal for me?
Yeah.
Right. And I found success in that. So when I first got home, I did not expect to be, at this point, talking to you or anyone on VOCM Open Line about a little bit of a project or a mental health initiative that we're trying to get off the ground here. Mm-hmm. But I do remember in an interview I did with NTV, we were in the gym. I was just trying to get vets to the gym because I know what physical training does for people. Right? That's just science. Mm-hmm. Right? And, I said to Colleen in an interview, I was like, if something's not here, we'll just build it. Like, our ancestors did. Mm-hmm. When they came to Newfoundland, they just built it. It wasn't here. Mm-hmm. So this is what the whole concept that we're trying to do right now, create this talk therapy program, get people talking, get people thinking, and, maybe, it helps, right? Because I did hear some stat. I was actually listening to it online, driving to St. John's one day, and there's a gentleman out there that did start a talk therapy program, and I heard that the result was a 45% decrease in suicidal ideologies. Mm-hmm. It's huge.
Absolutely. It's talking. That's the one part. And it's getting together. It's socializing. And it's getting back to that normal word. It feels normal. if you're able to verbalize it rather than just having the voices in your head all day that are telling you things aren't great, or this is really bad, or now it's going down a negative road, or there's another slippery slope. Look, talk therapy is exactly what it is, and it's so crucial. You're doing it right now. Mike did it earlier on the show. You talk about exercise for the brain, exercise for the soul. You need to talk about it and get it out there. You need to have a correspondence with something other than just your own head. You need to know there's comfort in numbers. We talked about that before, knowing that you're not alone, that others are in the same boat. All of those things work. They're very basic things, and it's not deep psychology. It's very basic, that knowing other people are going through the same thing all of a sudden no longer alienates you as you alienate yourself from society when it gets really dark, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I remember the first group I've ever been in, first group I was at, and it was something that worried me because I started losing my vocabulary. I started losing words. I actually had to have a friend come into my house. I was frightened to death to open my own mail, and she would have to open my mail and read me my mail and explain it to me.
Yeah, jeez. Mike, listen, quick question. Do you want to continue? Did you want to have a few minutes to chat? If so, I don't mind at all. I can put you just put you on hold just for a second so we can get to our break, or unless you want to wrap up. It's totally up to you.
Well, you know what? All I'd like to be able to say is we're going to be looking for people to come on board to help out.
Absolutely.
So you can find me on Facebook. My name is Trevor Davis, or also on Facebook, Post-Traumatic Growth Association, because that's where the project is going to be rolling out from. And that's where, updates will be on my own page, plus that one as well. And I did not expect to do this today, but considering what month it is, and I heard Mike, so I was just like, okay, I'm going to start talking about this. I'm going to start getting that out there instead of just all this behind the scenes kind of planning, and we could do this. So this is me ripping that Band-Aid off.
And listen, Trevor, I can thank Mike again. Obviously, if that was the impetus, then it's working, because we have to talk about it, as hard as it is. And for you to say it like that, you are resonating with so many other people right now. I can say it till the cows come home, but it's true. For others who don't really get this and aren't going through it, good for you. That's great. But there are people going through some really rough times, such as you did, but overcoming it and finding ways, as you said, to build up ways to deal with it. And this weekend, it's invaluable.
Well, this is what I want to do, right? The point is to bring men and women together who have found success going through their process of PTSD and or depression, and asking that one question: what worked? What was the ideology? Yeah. What was the concept? What did you do? Right? Because really, they're the experts. Mm-hmm. This is not going to be a rehash of the same old, and the programs that are out there and stuff like that. This is going to be a new concept. This is going to be actually asking the people what worked. Take that data, create a program, disseminate it. This is what worked for these guys. See if it works for you.
Trevor, you're speaking, to the converted right here, and I hope to others who are listening, to all who will join you and get on board with this, especially if they feel like they need some help and are afraid to ask for it, or I shouldn't say afraid, just reluctant to ask for it because of everything that comes with it. But look, yourself and Mike spelled it out very clearly here today. We got to keep talking about it, normalize it as much as we can, and save some lives.
Absolutely.
Trev, thanks a lot very much. Good luck with it this weekend, and let me know regularly if you can. Update me on how the program's going.
10-4, man. Thank you for your time.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to Peter Leonard on line 4. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brian.
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Oh, not so bad. Thanks for asking. Brian, this morning I'd like to speak about the union, FFAW in particular, but first I'd like to say thanks to Jamie Baker for his service as the Secretary-Treasurer, and good luck as his new Commander-in-Chief of the Fish Arbiter Professionalisation Board. And to Mark Delamount, thanks for your years of service to the members, and hope you enjoy your retirement with your family. You deserve it, Mark.
Yeah, and I'll just echo your comments on Jamie, good friend of mine. We former colleagues at CBC and the Telegram. So I echo your comments there.
Yes, thank you, and both good men there.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that there will be an upcoming election for Secretary Treasurer in the FFAW, but you can't be sure because it's in the Constitution that 18 months into it, the Inshore Council can appoint somebody within or whatever, right? And I feel that that'd be very unfair to the members. You know, after all, the Inshore Council, the executive, paid and non-paid.
You mean
they were all elected, right? By the members.
You mean to only select from in-house? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
And that's not a very democratic way, you know, only 18 months into it. So what I'm saying about that, I think members deserved an election. And after all, like I said, they were elected themselves, so that was a democratic way to do things. And we need someone like to go in there who got expertise, people who understand the federal government, the provincial government, the Constitution, bylaws, background in unions and things like that, and a person who is after fighting hard, tooth and nail for the last number of years, to run for that position. But that would be up to the members themselves, like to call up this person that I'm going to mention, and that is Ryan Clary. And Ryan is a good man. He's a continuous fighter, and
the Fighting Newfoundlander.
What?
The Fighting Newfoundlander. That was his blog, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but and he always tries to have a plan, like to put out fires before they start. And with all those big companies and stuff like that, like there's always fires, and things are not going right. I'm not criticizing the FFAW. Now, this is not what it's about, but like right now there's trouble, and you can hear the trouble, whether it's in Labrador, or whether it's on the Northern Peninsula with shrimp, or around, like I said, around the Labrador, whether with sea cucumber or 8 cents or something like that a pound on milk. You know, you've got people, groups that, maybe, this is not a secret, they may be thinking about breaking away in smaller groups, one thing and another. So what we need is somebody is going to keep all that together, because there's strength in numbers. But on your own, I believe that they would eat you up eventually, if the numbers are small. But I think Ryan Clary got a lot to offer. And I think the executive, paid and non-paid, and the union members should forget about the past and try to do something that's going to help the future. And believe me, after naming those things in negotiations, and the negotiations that have taken place for the last 3 years, since Robert Keane was there, and we got $7.60 a pound, it's been, among the members, it's been thumbs down all the way, and there's after so many things that after taking place there, and oversights, and everything from signing documents, I believe, without reading them, like the 20% tolerance on crab, that's just the bringing one, but we need, I call on the Dewan Street and our executive council to do what's best for the union, and do what's best for the members, I should say, and have an election for Secretary Treasurer.
Yeah, Peter, I wonder, have you been in touch with Ryan? Now, full disclosure, Ryan and I started together in journalism at the Telegram at the exact same time back in the early 90s. We were even roommates for a couple of years downtown, had an apartment as we navigated our early years as journalists. He's one of my closer friends. But I've always watched from afar, and he's even hosted Nightline here on VOCM, and as I said, the Telegram, then they had the Independent newspaper. He was a member of Parliament for St. John South Mount Pearl, 2011 to, I think, 2015. And yes, the big thing here, of course, is that he founded, and organized, or tried to get organized, a new union for harvesters called the Federation of Independent Seafood Harvesters, or FishNL, most people might remember. And that was a direct rival. He had some pretty heated, back and forths with the FFAW. So I'm with you on burying the hatchet on these things. When you look at Ryan's intellect and his knowledge of the fishery, all aspects of it, whether he was covering it as a journalist or investigating and digging into it as an MP, and the connections he made in Ottawa on that front, and learning the mindset and the context, from up along. I'm with you. I just don't know if he's interested. Have you spoken to him lately?
Well, I mentioned it, but he never did give me a direct answer. But maybe the fish harvesters, if they pick up the phone, like he's after helping quite a few fish harvesters across Labrador with various things, maybe if they pick up the phone and ask him, maybe then that would give them incentive to run.
Well,
first we got to make sure that there's going to be an election, right?
Absolutely. So I see it there in the absence of a face or a name on the FFAW website is conspicuous by its absence. It's just a big vacant. And at this time, I know Dwan Street's not busy enough. And there is a good board, the inshore, Jason Sullivan, on the rest it goes. Great people there, been there a long time, know what they're doing. But that absence is conspicuous by its absence right now. And I don't know. Let's get some clarity on that. The FFAW certainly knows our number when they have a cause that they need, explored or advanced. So they're more than welcome to give us a call and let us know what the process will be, whether there will be an election, and how it will be carried out. I'm with you 100%, Peter.
Well, thank you for that. And maybe Ryan would want to call in himself at some point in time, but maybe Dwan Street would want to call in and weigh in on this. Like I said, it's not to criticize, it's try to make something better. Like me, myself, I'm a fisherman basically most of my life, and I'm pretty well laid back now, sort of semi-retired and stuff like that. But going forward with so many different things, and then you got plant workers who are working with the cost of living that those skilled plant workers there, and they're working for less than $25 an hour. And then you got oil tanker workers. They get a 6 month on, 6 month off, but they work for that 6 month off in a roundabout way. But they don't even get 2 weeks holidays a year, and most everybody else do. So there's so many things there that
there
can be better. And I thank you for your time, Brian. And I'm going to give you a call again someday. I promise to do that on immigration. But,
yes, sir.
I'll get back to you some other day. But yes, I appreciate the conversation. I think it went better than I expected. I thank you for your points.
I appreciate that as well, Peter. Fishery can be quite the conversation, but no, this is a good specific one. And if Ryan Cleary is listening, we welcome his call and his 2 cents. Thanks again.
All the best.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's fly right into line number 6. And the mayor of Stephenville Crossing, Lisa Lucas, you're on the air.
Hi, how you doing?
Good morning, Mayor Lucas. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Been better.
Yeah, me too. Sorry. I say better, and I just went against my own mantra there because that was a tough last call, but these are conversations we have to have, of course. And I can understand what you're going through out there. Mayor Lucas, it strikes me that, it's one thing to pull a plug on a project, as important as the courthouse is there. It's quite another not to keep the community, sufficiently in the loop, if you will, about the plan. That what's coming. You're going to get the angst, you're going to get the uncertainty, you're going to get the complaints. Was there enough communication done here to explain exactly what the government's intent was? And not only that, a good timeline on the plan going forward.
We have heard absolutely zero from government. We've heard nothing from our MHA. I've actually heard more from the opposition than I've heard from our local PC government. And that's really concerning.
Is your MHA not the Premier?
Nope.
No, who's the Premier?
The Premier's our neighbor.
Right, Premier's your neighbor.
Part of our Bay St. George community, but Hal Cormier is our MHA.
Hal Cormier. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, like the first we heard of it was in an email from our MHA's assistant, Lenny Tiller. So that, of course, was very frustrating because we've never had that experience in the past with our MHAs. I mean, the crossing has long been known for having a really good working relationship with every MHA that's ever served under our community. I've been on since MHA Tim and Elward. We've had Joan Burke and Scott Reed. And it didn't matter to us whether they were PC, Liberal. We were always nonpartisan and always worked with who was our MHA because we knew that we had to if we wanted to maintain a good working relationship to benefit our community. And this is the first time we've experienced, like, I guess, more of an absentee MHA, and we're not used to that.
I think everybody can understand, you know, the disappointment and the frustration and everything else that comes with this. I mean, look, the Martin Gallant building, you know, apparently, according to the government, you know, was only partially designed at the time of the actual tender. So a complete design wasn't there, and they also say that
I beg to differ on that. I saw the design for the courthouse.
Okay, and this is just a statement from government, of course, and they say that it contained inaccuracies. Sorry, go right ahead.
Well, that could be, but I know that the working plans we saw, the courthouse was phenomenal. It was a beautiful building that was going to house all of the departments that are currently at the courthouse in Stephenville, and probably one or two additions. What I don't understand is what they've done to the building. What existed before that, to me, was workable. And now we're left with a mountain of debris that's going to cost well over millions of dollars to remove and to clean up.
Yeah, and now the question's going to be, like, when the total of that comes in, plus the total of whatever redesign and rescoping, I think that the Minister Petton mentioned the word rescoping, reset, whatever it is. The question is, will the total end up being too much? I mean, look, the original cost, I think they spent almost $6 million on it to date. So like 20% of the thing was complete, or at least the work that they'd been doing on it. And they say, you know, the redevelopment would cost about $8 million compared to the 29 or 30 million contract. That is now estimated to be or now up to 40 million. Sorry, from the 28.6. So, you know, we knew that the government, they were hell-bent on efficiencies and looking at everything. Do you have, you know, they talk about rescoping, resetting. Have they given you any timeline even? I mean, even if you had some idea of what the plan was before they announced this, that might have quelled some of the concern.
We haven't had any communication with them. I mean, I can't walk down the street or walk into a store or the pharmacy, and I'm met with citizens who are very concerned. I mean, right across the street from the courthouse is a beautiful B&B. And I mean, now she's just looking at the shell of a building with a mountain of debris in the back. So yeah, if we had had some communication, we would be able to alleviate some of the fears of the citizens. I mean, online has just been a massive drama unfolding with, you know, people making posts and the comments, and I don't comment because code of conducts have pretty much slapped the wrists of every politician, municipal politician out there that we're frightened to death to say anything. And it's really hard not to. I got to tell you, I've had to sit on my hands a lot this week. But yeah, like, none of that should be happening. The only thing I do right is that we are asking for our citizens' patience, that we're waiting for meetings to happen. We put in a request to meet with the Premier when the budget was announced, and the terminology in the budget stated the Stephenville Long-Term Care Center. Right away, that raised red flags for everybody in the community, because right now, the long-term care center is the bread and butter of this community. I mean, a lot of our residents work there. And then the courthouse was like supposed to be this wonderful boost to our economy. So we almost feel like we got hit with a double whammy, and nobody has responded to those fears. The Premier has said he was open to a meeting. We're still waiting. Our MHA did get back to us today. We're supposed to meet with him tomorrow, but we're working on a time because the time is not really working with our working counselors. But so we're just trying to be patient, and we're, waiting to have these meetings. But these meetings got to happen because we need answers, and we need them now.
In a perfect world, the plan going forward would have been announced in tandem with the decision to cancel, and you would have had a meeting and you would have known a plan, and then all of this blow up on social media and everything. There could have been a very coordinated, communicative way to do this, it seems, but again, it's left the cart before the horse.
Well, that's same with the ambiguous wording of cancel or rescope.
Yeah.
Which is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Both have a different connotation. Cancelled means, oh my God. Rescope means there's a bit of hope. Well, we need to know which. Like, that should have never been worded. Yeah. And, for Minister Petter to say that he's at peace with the decision, well, that's wonderful. I'm glad he's at peace because we certainly are not. Yep.
And it could have quelled a lot of this if you had a clearer idea of what exactly, just simply the question you just asked. What's the difference? Is it a rescope? Is it a reset? Is it a cancellation? What are we looking at? But look, I appreciate the time, and I'm sorry for the uncertainty. Not that through no fault of my own, but again, I can't stress communication enough. I mean, just communication. I don't know what the problem is, whether they just don't want people to scoop them on the announcement that's coming by giving you information ahead of time. I don't know, but it could have solved some of this frustration and anxiety that's now been permeating not just your community, but Cartwright, and I suspect others as well, as the government continues to fork through the line items and look for places to save. They said they wouldn't do it on the backs of residents, so I'm not so sure.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Right to line number 3, and Tina, you're on the air.
Good morning. I just want to send out a bouquet to Rosellen Sullivan for the launch of the new firm focused on workplace harassment investigations and misconduct.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a positive for Newfoundland. And as a person that reported misconduct and harassment from a place I worked for a long time, for over 11 years, and still can't get answers from people of whether the person I reported was even questioned. It's been going on for a long while. And also, the past death of my husband and the doctor he had is allegedly under a similar investigation and was while he was practicing. So I think this is fabulous, and I would like to send a bouquet to Rosellen for starting this, and hopefully it helps many people who, fear coming forward, and it's a positive change for people in Newfoundland.
Yeah, we're evolving on this front as others. And look, anyone with the resume that Rosellen Sullivan has in criminal defense, let alone her knowledge of how it works and the difficulties that people can have trying to navigate, especially these types of issues, workplace harassment and other issues, whether it's sexual harassment, verbal harassment, any kind of toxicity. And, it's very timely, of course. There are issues all over the news, including, of course, City Council right now, where a councillor is just suspended for this activity. I would say alleged, but it's been found and acknowledged. So for this type of activity, but again, there's such a gray area to it. There's so much secrecy and privacy involved that even the parties to it sometimes, including the person that's accused, can sometimes be left in the dark, not really know what's happening until it happens.
Yeah.
Whether it's the victim or the people. Yeah.
I understand that, but I like this idea because it's not being investigated internally. And through my experience with internal investigation, sometimes there's bias. I mean, the truth is the truth when you tell it, and it, But this was definitely a positive. I see this as a positive thing, so I commend her for opening this firm.
Yep, no, you absolutely make the point.
I hope it helps many people.
I think it will, that there's an option now to go to, that someone might take it further in a legal realm with the experience that she has, the vast experience, decades, She knows how to navigate it, and it's great to have this outlet, as you said, especially when you suspect there may be bias, or these issues, whether it's, it goes right back to workplace injuries and that thing with the workers' compensation. There are so many issues that you can't challenge. The people have frustrations challenging. They don't have another level of legality to go to, or someone to go the bat for them, because they either don't want to take it on, or they're not willing to, or you got to, pay through the nose to be able to just get in the door.
Yes, and it's so draining. It's so draining on people's mental health as well. So, it's a lot.
Yeah. Especially when right? When you're being wronged. And people out there know they have been, but they can't get through the red tape or the organization that they work for. They just can't get.
And you're not getting answers you're seeking. It's a wonderful change for Newfoundland. I'm happy it's happening.
Totally agreed. And I hope it. I was just going to say, I don't, expect, I'm not asking for any personal details, but you said something you went through yourself in a general sense. I mean, you don't have to name the employer, but could you just give me a brief synopsis of what you encountered?
Oh, it was harassment and sexual harassment. I had a former boss, who sexually harassed me for many years. And, it was a very toxic work environment, and I was afraid to speak up. And then, unfortunately, when I did speak up and tell someone that I trusted, I feel I was treated worse instead of better to the outcome. And still to today, I went through many entities of management and politicians and leadership, and everyone just disregarded, ignored me. And my personal feeling is there's definitely bias happening, because this person, is within the system. Yeah. That's all I'll say. And, after I reported, was promoted to an honorable position, which was, just shake your head. Unbelievable.
Yeah, salt in the wound really belittles it. That doesn't really, it doesn't cover it.
Exactly.
And you're right. You're absolutely right. One of the biggest impediments and pushbacks, or the reason people won't, is again because there's a lot of people have no faith in the fact that it'll go anywhere, and instead it'll be held against you. And maybe not even in a mispromotion or anything, but just, you can tell when people are against you or have turned against you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I experienced it, and I mean, I do. Now where I worked with many wonderful people, and just like any employer, there's toxic people, unfortunately, that make it worse for the good people. So, you still there?
Yeah. No, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, sorry, my phone was beeping.
No, it's okay. But it is.
Just like any environment, there's lots of wonderful people out there, and there's too many people afraid to come forward and talk about it because, again, the re-traumatizing and the mental capacity it takes, it's just draining. And it's not only draining on you, it's draining on your family, because it's hard not to bring it home. And, people are worried about you. Your family's worried about you. It's a lengthy process, and it's not something easily to forget, especially when it happens over a long period of time.
And when you feel like you're the only one fighting this in your head, the only one who knows what happened, the only one who is in your corner is you. Again, it plays on you, and you just feel like there's no one supporting you. You're not getting anywhere, yet it happened, and that's where Rosellen or someone like Rosellen Sullivan can come in and take on that fight for you. They know the system.
Absolutely.
And they can get into the other history, right? They know how do we look into precedent cases and other cases across the country, something you would never have the time to do, but could probably bolster your case, but you don't have that person in your court, and you got to go someone would say, oh, did you get a lawyer? And you know what that means. You got to go find someone who's probably not their expertise, and they're going to want a retainer, and they're going to want this and that and the other thing, and you don't really know them, and it's not their specialty. This is...
I reached out to many myself, and, I gave them proof. I told them the situation, and they're just not eager to take it on because I guess it's especially when it's in the systems itself. it's a big thing to have to take on, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes activities that go on. That's all I'll say about it.
No, absolutely, Tina, and I didn't mean for you to go too far down into it, but you're absolutely right. There are a lot of dynamics, and most people, even the media sometimes, when these cases come before us and people will call us and say, can you do a story on this? Unfortunately, the time that it takes, it's time-consuming. There are privacy issues, just like healthcare cases or family court cases that people want to talk about what they're going through in a custody case. The privacy issues, media will sometimes not roll their eyes in a way that they don't care, but roll their eyes in a way that I just don't have the capacity and the expertise to dig into this as a reporter. However, if you have a lawyer with the kind of experience that Rose Ellen Sullivan has, and her history, and her, not only that, her standing before the court, she brings a level of reputation and expertise. So good on her. The bouquet, I'm sure, will be well received. And thanks for the call, and thanks for bringing it to the attention.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on, and congratulations on your new position. You're doing fabulous.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. We keep it positive, don't we?
Yes, you do,
Absolutely.
And that's good. We need more positivity in our lives for sure, even in the hardest times.
You got it, Tina, absolutely. We got to keep that fight. Keep up the good fight, although I say I don't want to use the word fight anymore. But there you go. Thanks again for the call, and I'm sure Rosella appreciated it as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to Gail on line 1. You're on the air.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks to yourself.
Oh, good. I'm calling about the early school bill situation. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with taking little children in elementary school from kindergarten to grade 6 and putting them into early morning classes. And I don't agree with it getting out early, because what if there's 2 kids in a family and one is taking care of their younger one and they're getting out an hour later?
Yeah, there's a host
when they get home.
Absolutely, there's a host of dynamics here, whether or not it is like the schedules and the health and the brain alertness and on and on and on it goes. Look, we were told that the province would not balance the books on the backs of its residents. There are a lot of families and students and people who believe that this is exactly that. We're told, Gail, this is purely a cost-saving measure. This is efficiencies. We were told that the government would do this. Not for this year, of course, for 27-28 year, should point that out again. And the minister did say, look, they could save probably between $5 and $6 million per year. And he kind of, pursed it as, it's about like $100,000 a year for one bus. And so they want to go with fewer buses and, do a double run system and that sort of thing. But look, ultimately, we were told these kind of things were going to happen. They were going to try to find cost savings wherever they could. I mean, they had to. We all knew that there was a reality there that they weren't going to do all the things that they wanted or promised. And look, some of those things may still come to fruition. But good on the minister. I will say this part. This is a survey. The idea here, and it is communicative, and we talk about that. They haven't just made the decision. This is a survey that's put out there. The parents, I think you have until Sunday. I think it's the 14th. This is the deadline to take part in the survey, and he has said that's the whole purpose here. The department is going to carefully look at the responses, and let's just hope that if the majority of them suggest, or the vast majority, maybe they'll tweak it, maybe they won't. I mean, who knows? If they don't take the responses from the survey into consideration, then that whole exercise was a waste of time. But at least that's the route they're going. There's communication here. The plan has been laid out. Here's what they want to do. Now they're asking the families and the parents and the student, or any of the families that are involved here. And it's not every school. And look, if you don't have a link to the survey, you can always go to VOCM.com, and the story is there on our webpage. Just look for Mr. Pettin and the buses. You'll be able to find it, and there's a link to it. I think the biggest, is an hour early, and then they fluctuate 15, 20 minutes. I hear your angst, but at least do you give them credit for, the communication side of it?
Yeah, but I don't agree with it on account. Well, I had my 3 boys, and my 2 oldest got home. One got a half hour about an hour before my youngest one got home. So they were able to, because I put him through to the, the babysitting course, and be able to watch my youngest when he got off at 3 o'clock. Now, if they had been at a time like now, he would have been home waiting on the doorstep for an hour for the older ones to get home.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And that's what I don't like. And not only that, they can save money too by stop picking up every single student that can walk to school too. Because I know for a fact that there are certain parts of the city where, because they started picking up every child, that is close enough to walk.
Yeah, and then that goes back to the 1.6 busing requirement that was, I don't even want to go. It's that requires another show. Do you accept, though, that, look, this may well work for some people? I mean, it just to automatically oppose it is not the way, I think we need to change our thinking. I mean, new governments come in, they review whether it's contracts in Cartwright and Stephenville Crossing or it's the busing system. We know they're trying to find efficiencies and trying to make things work trying to make things work as well as they are now or better with less money. I don't know if that's even possible. Along the way, if you reduce services like this, there's going to be pressures. But again, it may work well for some people. The survey will bear that out. Other people will be stuck because whether it's childcare, whether it's their split shifts, whether it's the 2 or 3 jobs they're holding down, it can absolutely become a quagmire, like a full-on, oh my God, what do I do now? The saving grace here is, again, this is not this school year, so we have time and we have a survey and we have communication. I think, and I appreciate it, like, the negativity, the change is hard. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Let's just hope they do all the due diligence that's necessary here and take everyone into account, and the survey will do that. Let's just hope they keep the transparency and the communication alive, so we can keep giving input along the way. And once the survey results do come out, give us a full vetting of that. Let's have a news conference and spell it all out. And here's the responses we received, and here's why we are or are not going to proceed with it.
Okay, I agree with that. But can they also look at, now in my district, we have, the high school goes in from 9 to 3.
Where are you
the junior high
Where are you to?
I'm in Kilbride.
Okay, go. Yep, sorry.
Kilbride. So the junior high goes in an hour beforehand, and then the elementary is the same as the high school. So why can't they switch the junior high and the high school to go in earlier, and the elementary to go in later?
It's a good question. Are we talking about St. Kevin's?
No, you're talking Waterford Valley, Beaconsfield Junior High, because they go in earlier and they get out earlier. And then Hazelwood and Waterford Valley actually go in for the 9 to 3. So why can't they switch the higher grades and put them in earlier and let the little ones get off, go in for 8 to 3 instead of 9 to 3 instead of the 8 to 2?
It's a good question. Unfortunately, all of the schools you just mentioned, none of them are on this list for this survey or for these proposed changes.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just
but I know
my
what you're
opinion
saying,
about But then again, they might down the road. They got a few, and then the following year they might add a few more in the city.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving ideas, put the higher grades in there earlier and leave the little ones, because you're taking kids that are going on 5 years old, most of them, going to school for 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's hard enough to get them up to be in school for 9.
And the dead of winter when it's pitch black.
Yes. Yeah. Right? And then, at least it'd be a lot more sensible for them to wake up, get there, and get to school by 9 o'clock. But the high school ones, they got to learn how to get up early. And the junior high got to learn how to get up early.
As they get a bit older, absolutely, yeah. And prepare for life as an adult. When you're reaching your teens and the workforce. Almost to the end of the show, I will say your input is fantastic on that. The issue that jumps to my mind is that you're speaking specifically about the good, the welfare, the health of kids, and what makes sense.
Yes.
But not in the sense of what the government's looking at here, and which is strictly bus efficiency.
Yeah, and that bus efficiency will work if they do the high schools and junior high. Like I said, there's
Yes, I see what you're saying.
in my area, there's a junior high that actually go in earlier.
Yep.
So why not make them go in later, and with the high school, make two of them go in early, and then, because they're doing 3 runs anyway.
Yep, it's a great question.
In my area.
And I look forward to, it's a great question. I look forward to, I got to get off to the news, but I look forward to any kind of response from the Transportation and Infrastructure Minister, Barry Petton, of course, not busy at all these days. Gail, I really appreciate the call. Thanks a lot. Great conversation, important topic, and I appreciate the phone call.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye. Okie doke, there we go. That's a Wednesday in the books. For this June the 10th, coming up on the mid-month. Anyway, folks, thanks again, all of your calls and your emails. You know what to do. Drive safely, arrive alive. VOCM cares.